It's another exciting edition of the Church. What is it? Church Solutions Podcast. Is that what we do here? Is that what it's called?
That is it. I
Okay.
thought you were going to give us the episode number.
Oh, well, I can do that. This is episode number 410.
No.
That
Did
is.
I miss 409?
I don't know. I'm all confused. I think it's 410. I really do. I think it's 410. But if you go to
Uh,
Apple says it's like 409 or something. I don't know why Apple's off track, but I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, nobody cares, do they?
no, it's
I mean,
just
who's counting?
we're just parading through the muscle car numbers and we
Yeah,
skipped one.
yeah, I guess we
If we
did.
missed 409.
Yeah, 402 was I think AMC had a 402, but anyhow, we're uh, we're getting way off track here. So what did I say? I'm Phil Thompson. You're Steve Lacy, and we made it through Thanksgiving. We're heading towards Christmas. By the way, my wife had surgery last week, and so now I'm
How's she doing?
she did really well. Today's actually Wednesday. She did really well Monday, and then yesterday she was in a lot of pain, and she still is in a lot of pain. But it's back surgery, and it's you have ups and downs with that. I mean, there's always going to be ups and downs whenever you mess with the back, and she didn't need fusion. Well, she may need fusion, but she didn't get fusion. They went in and cut off part of the disc or something and did all sorts of other things as well. So anyhow, enough of that stuff. How's everything going with you guys?
Doing wonderful.
All right, good to hear it. All right, so we got somebody chatting with us here, but let's talk a little bit about our topic today, because I'm sure that's what everybody wants to hear. They don't want to hear about my wife's back and whatever else. We've got problems here. So I thought we would talk about uh, how to ensure. And by the way, you can always, if you're scoring at home, you can always go to the notes on this blog.streamingchurch.tv, and you can always go and look at what we've got there as far as the notes go. But blog.streamingchurch.tv is where we have the notes for this one. And the title of the blog is How to Ensure Your Stream Reaches Every Audience. And I know before we started to record here, you were confused as to what I meant by that. But what I meant by that is devices, mobile devices, different things like that, and people in different parts of the country or the different parts of the world. Well, what we're going to get into today is there's really a misunderstanding about streaming video, and many people think, a large number of people think, well, some people think, well, there's a few people that think that you need to stream at a really, really high video bit rate because that's the best thing in the world you can do. You have great quality if you do that. And I'm here to say that is not accurate.
Yes. So when we talk about all the different devices, and that's one of the things you should, going into this, is you should know who's watching your stream. And so you can get a feel for, you want to tailor things for that audience. If I've got 80% of my audience is on a mobile device, and that means quite often they're over a mobile network, then I'm going to want to tailor my stream going from a 720p to a 1080p. I would challenge anyone to be able to differentiate on a mobile device the difference. So it's indistinguishable looking at it on a less than 10-inch screen or so. And it's even challenging on our, we have a big 86-inch TV at our house and really can't, I mean, it's you can tell a little bit, but that's kind of the two extremes. Somebody that's on a TV or somebody that's watching from a we've done conferences and stuff that we've streamed. So there's people that have been in like a church audience and it's displayed on a 25-foot projector screen.
Right. Yeah. And look, we'll say this again. We said it. We've rang this bell a lot over the years, but audio is the most important thing. when it comes to streaming video, at least in my opinion, because you can have great video, but if your audio sucks, nobody's going to hang around for that.
Yeah, I think it's not just you. I think people will put up with a video issues, but they will not put up with audio issues.
Yeah.
So if you can't understand the audio, or it's too low or it's too high, or it's breaking apart, or
Right.
Audio is the key. So
Yeah.
if
Right.
you mess the audio up, and audio is a pretty easy one to do, although we have seen churches, I guess the biggest problem we see with audio has been where it's overdriven, where they've got the gain to the max and it just sounds terrible.
Yes. And some people that are newer to streaming will, if they're using like maybe one camera or something, they've got it on a tripod. And look, we're not against that. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? But many times people will just use the microphone that's in the camera, and that's what they're using to capture the sound. And the problem with that is, you've got all sorts of other sounds, people coughing, choking, talking, chairs moving around. And so ideally, you need to take your audio feed from your church mixing board and figure out a way to get that into your live encoder. And we can help you with that. I mean, we're getting a little bit off track here, but it can be easily done, and you can monitor it and tune it, so to speak, and life would be much better.
Right, exactly. Yeah, sometimes we get people asking about HD or 4K, and it's the buzzwords out there, and the reality behind streaming is what we're going to get into today. I mean, you don't need to go with the buzzwords that are out there. You want to stream a consistent stream to your audience, and we're going to show you how to do that.
Yeah. Why don't we just go ahead and jump in our notes and take a quick look at I got 10 things here. I don't know if we're going to get through all 10 or not, but the first one is, here are some of the reasons why your church should not stream at a really high video bit rate. Number one, accessibility for viewers with limited internet bandwidth. So look, yeah, fiber's popping in all over the place here, and there are people that, the internet's much better than it was back in 2002. I mean, we're doing a lot better. We're making progress, but we're not totally there yet. And so a high video bit rate can make it difficult and maybe even impossible for some viewers if they have slow internet connections to watch the stream. And again, remember your audience, as Steve just mentioned earlier, and also know the fact that sometimes people are not even at home. They might want to be sitting in McDonald's or something, God forbid, and they want to watch your stream, and it's McDonald's Wi-Fi, or it's a coffee shop Wi-Fi, or they're vacationing somewhere, and the Wi-Fi is not very good.
Yeah, or you're out at the park and you're using your cell data network. That's typically where you run into problems. Is those are going to be slow, and so both the video and the audio is going to start clipping out, and especially if you've tuned your stream for 4K or HD or something, you're going to leave these guys in the dust. It's going to be unwatchable for them.
And so why is that? Maybe I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but let me throw this at you. So why can't they just get, if I stream a really, really high video bit rate, well, why can't people get it? What's the deal? I mean, shouldn't the internet magically make that possible?
Well, it's if you're sending out at a certain rate, and so you send it out, people that are viewing your stream are going to view it at that same rate. So if their network connection can't support what you're sending out, it's going to struggle and buffer and cause issues on their viewing experience. You may never know that they have issues either. So it's another thing that's, a lot of people will send out, well, I got a great upload at the church. I've got fiber. I can send out, a 4K stream if I want to. And everything looks good on your end until you're that guy that's, at the park with their family, watching the stream on a tablet or something. Then it's you have no idea other than through the chat that the stream's not working for them.
Yeah.
So
And
you want
actually,
to
there are
you don't
answers to that, though. There are answers that we get into later.
you don't want to optimize for your situation. You want to optimize, as you've said earlier, to your audience's situation.
Yeah. All right. All right. So again, you're going to limit, if you're streaming a really high bit rate, you could possibly limit some of your viewers, some of your audience. So let's move on to number 2, increase buffering and lag. Increase buffering and lag. High bit rate streaming can put a strain on your church's internet bandwidth. And you kind of touched on that just a second ago. If you go ahead, if you've got really fiber, that may not be the issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 sides of this, though. Your increased buffering lag for the viewer. So if they don't have what you're putting out, then it's going to buffer and lag for them. Or if you're trying to put out more than your network's capable of, then it's going to buffer and lag for everybody. That's kind of the early days we discovered that is your entire audience complaining about problems, or is it just some people? So if it's just some people, that means it's their network on the download side. They're not able to pick it up. If it's everybody, then it's what you're sending out. You're overcoming your network capabilities, and everyone's going to suffer, whether they have fiber on the viewing end. If you are trying to send more stream than your network or computer is capable of, then everyone's going to suffer.
How will I know that if I'm at my church and I'm a tech guy and I'm streaming? How do I know that I've hit the ceiling, so to speak?
So all the encoders, and you're going to use an encoder, either hardware encoder or software encoder, to send your stream out. They all have meters in them because it's the number one problem that you're going to have when you're streaming. It's going to show whether the encoder is struggling to, if I've set it to send out a 6 megabit per second stream. Actually, Michael did a very good video just recently showing what that looks like and what happens. So your encoder is going to tell you, it's going to start flashing colors that it shouldn't flash. And unfortunately, the encoder companies have chosen their good state. One company chose red as the good state. Another company chose green as the good state, and red is the bad state. So anyway, you've got, depending on which encoder you have, it's going to tell you. And the other thing that's going to be common between all the encoders, another indication that you're trying to send more than you're capable of is it's going to drop frames. It's going to say, oh, I can't quite fit this 10 pounds of video into this 5-pound stream. So I'm going to not put all 10 pounds of the video in. I'm going to drop some stuff out, and that's dropping frames.
So is that a technical term, 10 pounds and 5 pounds? I need to look that up.
Yes, that is the technical 10 pounds of stream in a 5-pound network.
So frames are going to drop, buffering's going to happen. Your live encoder is probably going to be flashing multiple colors. You really need to know your live encoder. Like vMix or red means good, yellow means not so good. But as you were saying earlier, but look, how do I know that this could potentially happen?
That's we're going to definitely get to that part. Okay. Is you want to play safely within your margins. So it's a matter of knowing your margins. So we provide a speed test at speed.streamingchurch.tv where you can go in and understand your margins. And again, everyone talks download, but when you're streaming, it's only upload that matters. So you want to take your upload speed and you want to take some scores, typically when things are happening Sunday morning, when everyone's in the building and everything's going on and somebody's watching a football game and you're trying to stream your service or whatever, they're downloading something or uploading something. Do the test several times. And Sunday morning is probably the worst case, which is the one you want to figure out where your capability is. And then say it's my worst score was 5 megabits per second at upload speed.
Yeah.
Then I want to, now you admonish people to take 1/3 of that, but it's others say take 1/2 of that, and don't try to stream any faster than 1/3 or 1/2 of your worst upload speed score. So in my case, if I'm measured out at 5 megabits per second, that was my worst score. I had some better ones, but Sunday morning I had some, it was around 5. So I want to stream at definitely no more than 2.5 megabits per second.
Yeah, that
if
gives you
I
some
want
flex.
to, what's that?
It gives you some flex. It gives you flexibility. So
It gives you margin. Yes.
Margin would be a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. So that if I'm sending out, because if I set my encoder to 2.5 megabits per second, some of the time it's going to send 3 megabits per second of stream, because it's not a constant, 2.5 meg. It's going to drop down. It's going to go up. So depending on the video content that I'm sending out, it's going to, adjust things around for you. So you'll notice most of the encoders will also tell you what your streaming bit rate is. And you can watch it fluctuate. You'll watch it bounce around. It'll bounce around what you set it at, but it will go over it.
So how dare you say that good Christian people would be sitting in a service watching a football game while the sermon's going? I mean, I can't believe
you have
made
no
that
idea. I mean, it's really common. I don't know. I've been going to the same church forever, but I've not ventured out into any others. But typically, they're not going to password protect the Wi-Fi. They'll have a guest network or something like that, and so you have no idea what people are doing. It's, for example, we took a bunch of videos. We're babysitting the grandkids, and we took a bunch of videos, and my wife is uploading them on her phone, and we're having to take off, and so she leaves her phone at home. So if she'd taken and we'd gone to church, it would have connected to the Wi-Fi at church and finished uploading the videos that we were uploading to our Google Cloud account, and consume some of that bandwidth. So you have no idea what people are doing.
Yeah, and I think I mean I'm poking fun here, but even the tech people, or even people that are behind the scenes, I mean, if they're trying to upload files to Dropbox or upload files somewhere else, I mean, they're like doing their job, right? But if you're doing that during the live stream, it can hinder your internet. It's what I call internet atrophy. And I copyrighted that word, by the way. And so if anybody wants to use it, you'll have to pay me. But the truth is, yeah, I mean, even if they're doing legitimate stuff, and you're uploading and doing different things, that can create a problem.
Yeah. And people don't recognize it too. Like, oh, can upload the video from last week, and stick it up there so it's available or whatever. And you start the upload, and you're like, oh, my encoder's complaining. Why is that? And you just swallowed half of the available bandwidth with something else, and they're all going to compete for the same amount of bandwidth that's available, and somebody's going to lose. So, and you don't want your stream to lose, because they have a much bigger audience than you uploading past week's sermon, so that it's there for you, or whatever's going on.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on here. I think people get the gist of this, and we're starting to run out of time here. And you thought we would be done in 5 minutes, but
Yes.
so you got accessibility to your viewers can be limited if you stream at a high bit rate. You've got a possibility of increased buffering and lag and all that stuff. Higher costs. We won't spend a lot of time on that, but if you really want to stream high stuff all the time, besides all the things that we mentioned that could be detrimental, you're going to have the equipment to handle that. And I'm for some of you listening, or some of your churches, maybe you need to do that for some reason, but it's going to cost you more money, right? So storage and all that stuff, it costs money for the church. Number 4, if you're keeping score at home, inconsistent quality. We've kind of touched on that, right? You're streaming at a high bit rate, and you can have issues because of some things we just mentioned, right?
Yeah, you run out of margin, then it's gonna start buffering your stream. And yeah.
Limited, number 5, limited compatibility. Again, might not be compatible with all devices. You stream at a really high bit rate. Some devices, as we said earlier, can't handle it. If you've got an older phone like I used to have, or I've got this Amazon tablet I've had for just a few years, it seems like it's already out of date. And so, people can have a struggle with this really super high quality stream.
Yeah. And yeah, you want to keep the most people you can happy. So, and the unhappy trigger is when it stops working properly. So,
people do not like that.
And yes, don't try to tailor everything to, well, we've got to have the best quality in the world, so it's super crisp. And actually, for church services, typically there's not a lot of movement, so that makes it really easy to get a really high quality stream if there's not a lot of movement. So, I mean, behind the scenes, a little behind the scenes trick is, if there's a stage behind the pastor and it doesn't change, the encoder doesn't send any new information. It only sends the new information for the portion of the video that's changing. So if I've got, a lone subject in the middle and I'm on a fixed camera, then my requirements to stream a really high quality stream, I can do it with a really low bandwidth.
And frames per second is another thing and we're getting in the weeds here a little bit, but for those who have live encoders, a lot of people want to do 60 frames per second. And as you've said, that's really not necessary unless you're streaming a basketball game or something.
Yeah, or a Formula One race or something.
Yeah, or you're a Pentecostal church, and that could be the fact as well. But usually around 29, 30 frames per second, as you just said, that's perfectly fine. Unless, again, people are running all over.
Another insider tip is dropping your frame rate from 60 to 30 drops your bandwidth requirement in half.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, and you don't need 60 frames per second for church services. Yeah.
So you touched on this, but number 6 here, and I wanted to hit this, and I actually did a little social video or whatever, reels or whatever Mike calls it here. Focus on content over technical quality. So I think this is a real important point, and that is, a well-produced stream with a lower bit rate can actually be just as effective, because we're talking about conveying the message and engaging viewers. And so, this whole idea about, well, I'm going to focus on, again, 4K and Ultra HD and all that stuff. Well, maybe you ought to think about something a little different, have a different perspective on it. And that is, you're looking at the content of your event. What's going on there? Are your cameras where they should be? Is your lighting pretty good? Is your audio quality well? Does everybody know what's going on, so that if the pastor moves over 5 feet, the camera follows him, or if there's a special speaker, or you have different people coming up for testimonies that are important, that to me is very important. If you get all that down and you capture all those things happening, again, you can have 720p or even 480p. And this is what it will help people. This will encourage people.
Yeah. People aren't, you're not going to get distracted with quality till you get to really, really low numbers. And then, obviously you want to stay where you want to be. It's kind of like the sound guy that does the best job is the one that no one knew they had a sound guy. There was nothing happened that was noticeable. So you want to strive for that same place where you've got good quality, and that doesn't mean excellent video file quality, but good quality and good audio. And pushing beyond that, you're just increasing your risk that you're going to have a problem. A thing's going to stop playing, or the audio is going to skip, or something like that. That's the stuff you really, really want to avoid.
Yeah.
So target your broad audience towards the just above minimally compliant, so that they don't notice like, oh, that's fuzzy, or you don't want to get into that's fuzzy realm, but you don't need to be able to see nose hairs on the pastor with a magnifying glass when standing up to a projector screen.
Yeah. Nose hairs are not very sexy. So let's go. Somebody listening here and going, well, look, Phil, we have flat screen TVs. I know that we need to be careful, so we want to reach people in rural areas that maybe not have good internet. What's the answer to this? And I'm leading up, of course, to our notes, which is point number, what is that? Point number 9. Utilize adaptive bitrate streaming. So tell us, Jackson, what is adaptive bitrate streaming?
Adaptive bitrate streaming is going to allow you to serve your variety of audiences with the best stream that their device is capable of consuming. So this will allow you to send a very high quality stream for people on TVs or in arenas or wherever it may be, and then also have available a lower quality stream for someone that's on their phone, and the video player will just automatically adjust and switch to the best stream that can consistently be played on my device.
So if I'm using adaptive bitrate, so if I'm using adaptive bitrate, I can stream really high quality. But if somebody's sitting in a coffee shop somewhere and they've got their mobile device and it's not great internet, they could possibly see a fairly good quality service because the video player on their device will automatically adjust. So how do I do that? I mean, we don't have to get into a how-to thing here, but we're running out of time. But I mean, okay, that sounds great. Well, how do we make this happen?
So if you're streaming with us, you just contact us and we'll get you set up. But you need to be able to send the high quality and the lower quality streams from your location.
So you got to send multiple streams from your live encoder.
Yes.
So high, medium, low, whatever. So you've got to have a live encoder that allows you to stream to, I guess you might say, multiple destinations. Is that a good term for it or whatever? So not everybody has that. OBS can't do that, although I guess there's tricks to do that with OBS. I don't know. But I know like vMix, if you have a software encoded, vMix can do that. Wirecast can do that. And there are hardware-based live encoders that can do that as well. And again, you just have to be careful if you're sending multiple streams, really high quality, medium, low quality. You got to make sure on your end, you've got enough internet, as we were talking earlier, enough room.
You know your margins. Yes.
You got to know your margins.
Because you're going to have to sum each of the streams you're sending out and total them and make sure that's less than 50% of your worst upload scores.
Yeah. And so it may sound a little complicated to somebody, but it's really not too bad. We could certainly help you with that at streamingchurch.tv. What about transcoding? People could do transcoding too, right? As an alternative. That's more expensive. This would be free. People could do this for free. At least with us, it's free. But transcoding, we could do transcoding for people, but that's more expensive. So they would send one stream and then the servers do their magic, so to speak, and make it so that people can do that. So transcoding is another option, but it's usually more expensive. All right. So look, we're out of time here. How about that?
All right. We made it.
Shocking, isn't it? All right. So look, I know we open up a can of worms sometimes when we talk about some of these topics. So if you want to reach out to us, we'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Just go to streamingchurch.tv. That's all you got to do. And we will be glad to answer any questions or help you any way we can. If you have not subscribed to the Church Solutions podcast, then we'd encourage you to do that. Wherever you get your podcast, you can just look for Church Solutions Podcast and subscribe. Give us a rating if you can. And there you have it. So anything else, Mr. Lacy?
That should do it.
All righty. Well, we're done here. So again, thank you. And folks, thank you for viewing or watching the Church Solutions Podcast, whatever platform you're on. Please catch us again next time for another episode. Please take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Phil Thompson.